Welcome to Fox Lingo. Today's topic is how to think in English. So, picture this scenario. You've spent months or, maybe even years grinding away at the language, right?
Yeah.
You've got the vocabulary down, you know the grammar rules, you can read articles online without breaking a sweat, you write emails perfectly fine, but then you step outside, someone walks up, asks you a totally normal question, you open your mouth to speak, and boom, you hit a giant concrete wall. Total system failure.
Oh, yeah. It's that classic deer in headlights freeze. Your mind goes completely blank, your palms get a little sweaty, and you just stand there nodding.
Right, just nodding and smiling like a robot.
Exactly. And it's incredibly frustrating because, well, you know the words are in there somewhere.
So frustrating. It feels like you own this massive toolbox and you've memorized what every single tool does. But the second you actually need to build the house, the tools just vanish into thin air. Why does this happen? Why is there such a massive, agonizing gap between understanding English on a page and actually speaking it smoothly in real life?
Well, the problem isn't your memory or, your intelligence. It's really about what your brain is doing behind the scenes.
Okay. What is it doing?
So we spend so much time practicing reading, writing, and listening, right? We run drills, we use flashcards, but we completely forget to practice the most critical step of all, which is thinking.
Oh, wow. Thinking.
Yeah, thinking. Right now, if you're hitting that wall in conversations, it's because your brain isn't just speaking. It's acting like an overworked, exhausted translator.
An overworked translator. Okay, so instead of just having a normal conversation, I'm secretly running like a whole corporate translation agency inside my head.
That's exactly the trap. Just think about the mental heavy lifting you're doing. Someone asks you a question, right?
Yeah.
Your brain receives the English, translates it into your native language so you can actually understand it.
Right, step one.
Then you form your reply in your native language. Then you grab that thought and desperately try to translate every single word, one by one, back into English.
Oh my gosh, that sounds exhausting.
It is. You're checking the grammar, you're searching the mental dictionary, and only then do you actually push the words out of your mouth. It's a grueling 5-step process just to tell someone how your weekend was.
Honestly, that makes me think of watching a movie with terrible delayed dubbing.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Right. You know where the actor's lips are moving with all this emotion, but the sound doesn't actually come out until like 2 seconds later.
Yeah.
It just doesn't flow. It totally takes you out of the experience and everyone just feels awkward.
That is a perfect way to describe it. When you rely on that mental translation agency, your real-life conversations have that terrible delayed dubbing effect.
Yeah, the bad dubbing.
You're always 2 steps behind the other person because you're doing triple the mental work. You aren't really present. So the mission of our deep dive today is to fix that.
Fix the dubbing. I love it.
Exactly. We're going to show you how to fire that overworked translator, skip the mental gymnastics entirely, and turn your brain into a natural, automatic English thinking machine.
Yes. Fire the translator. Pack up their desk. They are out. But where do we even begin? Because telling someone to just think in English feels a bit like telling someone to just fly.
Right, it sounds totally impossible.
Yeah. It sounds awesome on paper, but practically, how do you actually get off the ground?
Well, you have to start incredibly small,
Yeah.
and it begins with hijacking the voice inside your head.
Hijacking my inner voice.
Yeah. We all have that internal monologue. It's the voice that talks to you all day long. It complains about the weather, it stresses over an email you sent, it reminds you to buy milk.
Oh, my inner DJ is basically a talk radio host who never sleeps. Like, it's constantly narrating, judging people's shoes on the subway, stressing about what's for dinner.
Right, so the very first step is to gently force that inner DJ to switch stations. But you don't do it with complex thoughts, you do it with tiny, boring, everyday moments.
Like what? Give me an example.
For example, when you wake up in the morning, your first thought is usually something like, I need to brush my teeth. Instead of letting that thought happen in your native language, deliberately force it in English. I need to brush my teeth.
So I'm just swapping out the broadcast language for the most mundane, routine thoughts I have.
Exactly. When you're walking down the street, narrate your physical reality. Tell yourself, the sun is bright today, or that guy is walking fast. Just basic, zero-pressure observations.
I can already hear people listening to this and going, wait, it's going to feel so incredibly slow and weird.
And they're totally right. It's going to feel clunky. It's going to feel completely unnatural at first.
Yeah, like you're faking it.
Exactly, but that's how every new habit begins. It's all about repetition. The more you force that low-stakes inner talk into English, the more automatic it becomes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Your brain slowly realizes, oh, okay, we're using these words to process reality now, and eventually you won't have to force it. The English thought just pops up on its own.
It's like paving a new road in a forest. At first, you're just hacking through bushes, it's a bumpy ride, it's exhausting. But the more you drive that same path, the smoother the dirt gets, until eventually it's a paved highway.
That's a beautiful way to put it, yes.
But here's where I get stuck, though. Okay, the inner DJ is handling my basic observations. But what happens when I encounter a word I just don't know?
Ah, right.
Usually I, pull up a dictionary app. But if I'm looking at my native language on the screen, aren't I just inviting that overworked translator right back into the building?
You are hitting on the absolute biggest trap in language learning. If you want to stop the translation habit, you cannot connect a new English word to the word in your native language.
Really? You just skip it entirely?
Yes, because otherwise you're just building a detour. You have to connect the new English word directly to an image, a feeling, or a memory in your mind.
Bypassing the native word completely. Okay, walk me through how that works in real time.
Let's take a simple noun, like apple. The old, exhausting way is to see the English word apple. Think of your native word for apple, and then imagine the physical fruit.
Right, going through the middleman.
Exactly. We want to cut out the middleman entirely. When you hear apple, don't let your native language enter the chat at all. Just picture a shiny, bright red apple in your hand. Feel the crunch of it.
Okay, I buy that for a physical object. Like an apple is easy, it's a thing I can physically touch.
Sure.
But what about abstract stuff? If I have to paint this mental masterpiece in my head for a concept like happiness or frustration every time I want to speak, isn't that actually way slower than just translating?
That's a really valid question.
Because I feel like I'd just be standing there trying to conjure up an HD movie scene while the other person waits.
Right. But that's a totally fair pushback. But it's not about painting a complicated masterpiece. It's about a microflash.
A microflash?
Yeah, a split-second visual or emotional trigger. You already do this in your native language without realizing it. When you hear the word stress, you don't think of the dictionary definition of stress.
No, definitely not.
Your brain flashes to a feeling, maybe a mountain of paperwork or like a really bad traffic jam.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for an abstract word like relief, I don't need a complex painting. I just picture taking off a really tight pair of shoes at the end of the day.
Yes.
That feeling is relief.
Yes. That's brilliant. That feeling of taking off tight shoes is the meaning. Hook the English word relief directly to that feeling.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Think about how fast an image or a feeling flashes in your mind. It's instant. It's a million times faster than reading a mental dictionary.
Yeah, you're not flipping pages in your head.
Exactly. By connecting English directly to those instant triggers, the trip from having a thought to speaking that thought becomes lightning fast. There's no waiting around for the mental paperwork to clear.
I love that. No mental paperwork. Okay, so we've got these fast English image triggers flashing. We're hijacking the DJ for basic stuff. But here's the next bottleneck.
Okay, what is it?
Having a bunch of quick words popping into your head is great, but single words aren't a conversation. How do we string them together into actual sentences without feeling like a train going off the tracks?
This is where we have to look at the cultural vibes of different languages.
Cultural vibes.
Yeah, every language has its own unique personality and way of organizing information. Like, many languages around the world are beautifully complex. They value long, flowing, winding sentences.
Right.
Taking a long time to get to the main point is often seen as polite or, poetic. But English, especially everyday, conversational English is a completely different beast.
Yeah, I feel like spoken English is incredibly impatient. It's just get to the good stuff, what's the point?
That's the perfect way to look at it. English is short, direct, and highly transactional.
Transactional, okay.
Think of it like sending a text message to a good friend. You don't write a sweeping novel in a text message, right? You just fire off the most important details.
Right, exactly.
That is exactly how you should organize your thoughts in English. Keep it punchy.
Okay, I'm picturing someone trying to take this massive, gorgeous, perfectly structured thought from their native language and desperately trying to shove the whole thing into English.
It never works.
It's like trying to fit a whole giant pizza into a toaster.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You're just gonna make a huge mess, there's gonna be cheese everywhere, it's not gonna fit, and the whole thing's gonna catch fire. Just make toast. Stop trying to force the pizza into the toaster.
I'm absolutely stealing that toaster analogy. Yeah. Yes. Stop trying to force the big, complex, native thought into the English toaster.
Just make toast.
Just make toast. Let me give you a specific example from our sources. If you try to directly translate a winding thought, you might end up wrestling with something really heavy. Like, I feel very exhausted at this current moment because I had a tremendously long day full of heavy responsibilities at my job.
Which, I mean, sure is technically grammatically correct, but nobody actually talks like that at a coffee shop. You sound like a Victorian ghost.
Right, it's way too heavy. Instead, if you embrace that texting trick and think directly in the rhythm of English, the thought is just, I'm so tired. Today was a long day.
I'm so tired. Today was a long day, period.
Makes it
It's so much lighter. There's no comma splicing gymnastics going on in your brain.
It's clear, it's natural, and best of all, it's fast. You don't have to be poetic. You just have to be understood. When you give yourself permission to think in short, punchy sentences, the pressure completely drops.
Keeping sentences short is a huge relief. It totally takes the weight off. But knowing we need to make short sentences and actually producing them on the fly are two different things. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
How do we get our brains used to pulling those triggers so it feels like home?
Well, you have to recognize that your brain is basically an incredibly advanced prediction engine.
A prediction engine?
Yeah, it's like a music producer constantly anticipating the next beat. If you want to think in English automatically, you need to feed that engine, you need to hear the rhythm, the tone, and the melody of the language constantly.
So I'm just bathing in the audio, like throwing on a podcast or show in the background.
Exactly. Watch TV, listen to music, put on YouTube videos while you're folding laundry. And here is the golden rule. Do not worry if you don't understand every single word.
Wait, really?
Really?
Because my instinct is always, if I'm watching a show and I miss a phrase, I panic, I pause it, I rewind, I turn on the subtitles, and I turn it into this intense study session.
Don't rewind, just let it play. Passive listening isn't about perfect comprehension. The goal is to get your brain's auditory processing used to the music of the language.
The music of the language, I like that.
Yeah, English has a very specific bounce to it. We stress certain syllables and swallow others. The more you just soak in that noise, the more familiar the engine becomes with the beat.
Okay, so it's just about exposure.
Exactly. Eventually, your brain will naturally start to mimic that same rhythm on its own without you forcing it.
It's like when you hear a catchy pop song on the radio. You aren't studying the lyrics, but suddenly you're doing the dishes and you catch yourself humming the exact melody. You absorbed it without trying.
That's the perfect parallel. But here's the catch. Passive listening is just the warm-up.
Oh, of course there's a catch.
Right. To really cross the finish line and make English the default setting in your brain, you have to take active steps. You have to start talking to yourself out loud.
Oh boy, here we go. Talking to the walls.
Talking to the walls, talking to the furniture, talking to your sandwich. I'm totally serious. If you're in the kitchen making lunch, I want you to literally narrate your actions out loud. I'm cutting the tomato, now I'm spreading the mayo. This bread is soft.
My family's gonna think I've completely lost my mind. I'm just picturing myself standing in an empty kitchen muttering, I am placing the cheese. The cheese is yellow. I like cheese. It sounds completely insane.
They might give you some weird looks, absolutely, but there's a real method to the madness. It forces a direct connection between your physical reality and English words out loud in real time.
Real-time practice.
Right. If you're driving your car, narrate the street, that light is red, the guy in the crosswalk is walking too slow. These seem like silly, ridiculous little sentences, but they are incredibly powerful. You're building a reflex.
You're basically recording a really boring documentary of your own life, but the voiceover is entirely in English.
Yes. Be the narrator of your own boring documentary. And you can push this even further by digitally changing your environment. Go into your phone settings right now and change the language to English.
Oh, that's a spicy one. Trying to navigate a banking app when you've just changed the language feels like defusing a bomb.
It's definitely a challenge at first.
But I guess we look at our phones hundreds of times a day. If it's in English, you're forcing your brain to process the language every single time you check a notification.
Exactly. Write your grocery lists in English. Send short text messages to yourself. You are essentially building a protective English bubble around yourself.
I love that. You're building a little English bubble in your own living room. You don't have to buy a plane ticket to New York or London to get an immersive experience. You just change your phone settings and start chatting with your groceries.
It puts the power entirely in your control.
Okay, I am fully on board with narrating my sandwich. But let's get real for a second. What happens when I'm standing there, confidently talking to my turkey sandwich, and I completely butcher the grammar?
Ah, the grammar trap.
Like I use the wrong verb tense, or I completely scramble the sentence. I feel like the fear of the grammar police is where a lot of people just freeze, get embarrassed, and give up.
This brings us to a massively important rule for this whole process. You are entering a no-judgment zone. You have to remember something so basic, but we all forget it.
What's that?
Thinking is private. Nobody else can hear your thoughts.
It's my own private radio station. The grammar police don't have jurisdiction in my kitchen.
They don't. It is your ultimate safe space. So many people block their own progress because they are terrified of making mistakes, even in their own heads.
Yeah, the self-criticism is so loud.
Right. They catch themselves thinking, oh no, I just thought instead if he goes, I'm a failure, I'll never get this.
We are so unbelievably hard on ourselves. We expect to speak like a university professor before we even allow ourselves to open our mouths.
It's so true.
It's like a hangover from the school system where every mistake gets a big red X on it.
And that kind of perfectionism is the absolute enemy of progress. I want everyone listening to drop the perfectionism right now. Toss it out the window.
Out the window.
When you are thinking in English or muttering to yourself in the car, perfection does not matter at all. Momentum matters. Keep the words flowing. Do not stop.
Momentum over perfection. I think everyone needs to write that on a sticky note and slap it on their bathroom mirror.
Because here's the beautiful part. If you just keep moving, keep forcing the English words to come out, your brain will actually self-correct. Your mistakes will reduce naturally over time.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Like without me having to sit down and suffer through a grammar textbook. How does that work?
Remember how we talked about your brain being a prediction engine? A pattern matching machine?
Yeah, the music producer?
Right. When you combine the passive listening, soaking in all those podcasts and shows, with the active practice of making your own sentences, the brain connects the dots.
Oh, wow.
It starts picking up the right patterns. It will automatically correct itself because it's heard the correct way 1,000 times in the background.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So if I'm driving and I say out loud, the car's fast, my brain will eventually just kind of flag it and go, wait, no, the cars are fast, simply because is fast literally feels wrong in my mouth based on all the TV I've been watching.
Exactly. You don't have to punish yourself for the mistake. You don't have to diagram the sentence. You just keep driving, you keep talking, and your brain sorts out the messy details in the background.
That is such a massive relief. Okay, let's zoom out for a second and tie this all together.
Sure.
We've covered a lot of ground today in this deep dive.
Yeah.
We've talked about firing the overworked translator and hijacking the inner DJ. We're ditching the dictionary to use visual and emotional triggers.
Right.
We're keeping our thoughts short like text messages, making toast, not pizza.
Yeah.
We're building an English bubble by talking to our vegetables. And we are choosing momentum over perfection. Now, that's a lot of active effort.
It is.
Why should you, the listener, commit to all this work? What's the actual prize waiting at the end of this journey?
The ultimate reward is that one day, without any warning, without you even realizing it's happening, you'll just be living inside the language.
Living inside it.
Yeah. You'll wake up and the English thought will just be there. You'll speak faster. You'll laugh at a joke instantly because that terrible delayed dubbing in your head is finally gone.
The bad dubbing disappears.
It vanishes entirely. English stops being a subject that you study with a highlighter at a desk, and it becomes a natural, invisible tool that you just use to navigate your life.
Wow.
It's a completely new kind of freedom. You're no longer a student of the language, you're a user of it.
I absolutely love that, a new kind of freedom. So here's my challenge to you. The very next time you're out, or even just sitting on your couch, and you catch yourself translating in your head, you feel that overworked translator sweating and shuffling papers in your brain, just pause.
Just take a breath.
Take a deep breath, look at something simple in the room, and try to form the thought directly in English. Even if it's just, that coffee cup is empty. Start there.
And as you start building this habit, I want to leave you with something kind of wild to think about.
Oh, it's that.
Consider this. If your inner voice suddenly starts broadcasting in English all day long, does it actually change your personality?
Oh, wow. I haven't even thought about that.
Right. Do you become a slightly different person when you think in a new language? Since English is so direct and punchy, does thinking in it make you a bit more confident? more straightforward. It's something to watch out for as your inner DJ settles into its new routine.
That is such a wild concept. Do I have a completely separate English personality waiting to come out? Am I funnier in English? I guess everyone listening will just have to try it out, narrate some sandwiches, and see what happens to their inner voice. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for this deep dive today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe and like.